Hi, it's Anna here. Thanks for tuning in. In today's video, I want to explain what I've done on this path and what I've observed others do on this path in order to be successful, in order not to get stuck anywhere for too long, and in order to ensure that there is always an ongoing forward movement, and that you keep moving further and further into more clarity and coherence, which is the goal, right? And that's very simply an alignment to truth. So I've explained before that I very much view this path, this spiritual path, as aligning to truth on the inside and the outside. Aligning to truth on the inside is very much, all the inner work, and then aligning to truth on the outside allows us to make very informed decisions, to take all our power back, and to view reality exactly as it is. I've mentioned that many times on this channel as well, that this is very much a path to view reality and people exactly as they are, and not how we want them to be, not how we thought they were, or not how we wished them or life to be. And so this alignment to truth that I'm talking about has to be devotional. It has to be such a high commitment, and it becomes your North Star. It almost becomes like this reverence to truth with a capital T, viewing it as the higher power that's guiding you. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, there's many words that we can use to talk about, I guess where we're going on this path, right? We can talk about God, soul, higher self, source, universe. But when we view it as truth with a capital T, it becomes a lot clearer. Because truth with a capital T means that we understand there is objective truth and reality. There are natural laws that we have to abide by. There is a true organic spirituality, right? And there is also our truth and what's true for us. So I feel like it makes it even more precise. And to be clear, when I talk about truth, it's not an impersonal empty thing. That's why it very much becomes, a reverence to truth, or, truth becoming the ultimate religion. In my personal journey, I've felt like the Holy Spirit is the spirit of truth. It's very much something that's felt, that's pure, and that's loving. So I want to unpack that a little bit more. I know that in a lot of the spiritual terms, especially in the New Age spirituality, a lot of people focus on high vibrations. And I disagree with that. I think our focus should be on truth frequency over high vibrations. And there's actually been a study, I don't know the details of the study, and I'm not really interested in diving into the details of the study, but I'm just going to use it to make a point. There's been a study that's been made where they've shown that authenticity is the highest vibration, the highest frequency. And to me, authenticity is truth. It's about being genuine, being honest, being clear, being coherent. And with that study, some people have started arguing that authenticity is actually a higher vibration than love. I think they were saying that it's 400 times higher than love. But to me, truth and love are not separate. That's why I'm saying that it's not an impersonal thing. It's very much a higher power, because truth is true love. But the problem is that it's not the love that we've been programmed to believe it is. It's not the love that we've expressed in the matrix frequency. True love doesn't completely self-sacrifice at the expense of yourself. It's not coddling. True love is truth. So it's one and the same thing. Now, in my experience and observing others, the ones who make progress on this path are not the ones who focus on high vibration, because to put it very simply, you know, if you force yourself to be in high vibration, you're not in truth, you're not being authentic. You know, you can't lie to your body. Frequency doesn't lie. You can lie to yourself about it, you can force yourself to be a certain way, but ultimately your frequency and your body don't lie, and you won't make progress on the path, in the sense that you're not going to even feel the shifts internally, you're not going to see your external reality shift, because again, frequency doesn't lie. And so that's why what I've noticed is that even though it's an entire process and it takes time, and even though, you know, we do make mistakes on the path, and we use them as lessons and we course correct, if you make truth with a capital T as your North Star, you will always come back to center. It will always ensure that you come back over and over again, and you reattune to truth, because it's very much an attunement to that higher power, an attunement to that truth. The way I like to see it, I'm a big fan of analogies, so I'm going to use a lot of analogies in my videos, but the way I like to view it is the instrument analogy. You can view yourself as an instrument, a musical instrument, let's say a guitar. And this spiritual ascension process, this inner work process, is very much tuning, you know, the chords of the guitar. And if you've ever owned a guitar, you will know that you need to tune the toggle back and forth to find that middle, you know, to find that right attunement, that right note, that right chord. And so this is very much the inner work process, right? As things unfold, you know, we tune into what's for us and what's not for us, so we can find that attunement to truth. And so it becomes a harmonization of the instrument. This purification and refinement process that we're on becomes a refinement process, so that our instrument, our body, can harmonize. And it becomes this clear signal, this coherent signal, where you're then able to actually magnetize what's for us. True peace and harmony and amazing relationships, right? And there's two sides to this, like I said. There is a side that's very much a truth that's applicable to everyone. And there's also truth that's applicable to you, because, you know, this path is very much individual. It's highly dependent on, you know, the family that you were born in, what programs you're dealing with. So the path is not the same for everyone. And so it's very much attuning to what's true for you. So your best friend over there, something might be working very well for her, but it's actually not your truth. It's not meant for you. And the way you feel into that, because truth is very much felt, you feel it in your body. It's a resonance. Sometimes you will feel goosebumps. Sometimes it's when you're really passionate about a topic, or like you really want to start reading books about a certain topic. That's showing that it's for you. And at times I felt like it was electricity running through my body. Now, we need to be careful with the resonance though, because sometimes we can resonate with our trauma. So that's why I'm saying it's very much a process. And this process of attuning to truth is actually how we build the discernment muscle. You know, by getting things wrong, incorrect, is actually how you learn to attune to the truth. If you never get things incorrect, you can't feel what it feels like when it's not for you. Does that make sense? So it's very much experiential. It's very much felt in the body. One thing I also want to say is that it's actually not about being right. You know, when I say truth is not impersonal, it's not this empty thing. It's not about being right, about being self-righteous, about speaking the truth at all costs, no matter how much you hurt people. It has nothing to do with that. It's very pure. And like I said, it's true love, except that it's not the love that we think it is. Sometimes it is tough love. Sometimes it is calling things out, calling people out. But it's not at the expense of wisdom. It's not just one rule and I'm speaking the truth and because I want to be right. Like we have to, part of this path of aligning to truth and feeding into the truth is actually being very honest with ourselves. Be very honest. Like, why are you doing, or why do you want to do something? Why do you want to call something out? Is it because you know truly that it's what's needed and that's what your soul is pushing you to do? It's part of your evolution. It's part of what needs to happen. Or is it because you want to hurt someone? Is it because you want to be right? That feels different in the body. We have to spend a lot of time attuning to all of this. One other thing that I want to mention is that truth is precise. So that's why, there's been like I've mentioned before, that there's a fragmentation of the truth that's happening, and there's been a dilution of certain concepts and certain words. And what can happen is that it can actually, because it's not precise enough, it can actually stunt you in your growth. So you have to make sure that when you feel into things, if you feel it's not quite fitting, keep going. Don't force it. Don't force because it's not fitting. Oh, maybe I'm not getting it. No, feel into that. If it's not fitting, it's probably because it's not truly for you. You need to dive deeper into a concept. So I want to give an example so you understand what I'm talking about. But for example, I'm not a fan of the term codependency that's been spoken about to explain why women are staying in toxic and abusive relationships. In my opinion, it's completely inaccurate. And in my opinion, it actually stunts someone's growth when they actually need to heal from all of that. There's so many reasons why you stay in a toxic relationship, right? It's your misunderstanding of what love is. It's not understanding what narcissism is, how energy works, the energy exchange in relationships. It's, financial. There's so much programming and belief system. Like, you have to unpack all that. You can't just have an umbrella term that's so vague, then that actually doesn't really mean anything. It's not precise enough. So truth is precise. Truth is felt. And, truth is true love. That's very important to understand. So on this path of aligning to truth and, sort of building this discernment muscle as you go, I like to view, because, a lot of this path is actually gaining information, gaining that knowledge so you can expand that awareness and attune to that truth, right? I like to make information pass through two questions. The first one is this information empowering? Now there's nuance to this, because the thing is, truth hurts. It's like that saying is very much true, because we have to push through so much cognitive dissonance, and sometimes we don't want to see the truth. We actually don't want it because it doesn't feel good. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of responsibility and accountability and a lot of letting go of people and things. So when I mean, is it empowering, I don't mean, is it fluffy and does it feel good? I don't mean that. Although sometimes, when you're passionate about a topic, that's very good. What I mean about empowering is that, can I see, even though it's painful, that it's going to actually lead me to taking more responsibility for my life, have the ability to make more informed decisions, right? Is it empowering in that sense? So that I can actually be informed about the choices and the decisions that I'm making? Because what's happened in our life, right, is that when we were unconscious, we've made a lot of choices. Like, technically we had free will, but it was not really informed choices, right? Because a lot of the choices that you've made were based on programming and patterns that you were not even aware of. So this is what this new knowledge and information and truth needs to bring. It's allowing you to actually have that informed choice, which is actually true free will. And is it empowering in the sense that is that information actually pushing you to yourself, pushing you to your own power and your own inner connection and integration, right? Versus is it pushing me to be more reliant on something or someone that's external to me? And another question that I like to ask is it useful? Is it actually practical and applicable in my life? Because on this path, there's just so much information. There's a sea of information with the internet, right? And we can sort of get distracted and let's be honest, like we actually like sometimes to be distracted because then we're not focusing on the actual choices and actions that we need to make, which is painful. And so we can, follow all this information and dive into all these rabbit holes and get really distracted. And it's really not useful, in our life. Like there's just so much information out there that's not useful. And I'm of the opinion that any information where you have to really dive into so much detail that it becomes, this thing like understanding all the family tree in Game of Thrones, it becomes this huge thing that really doesn't actually help you in your life at all. In my opinion, that's a distraction. And so that question becomes very important. Is it relevant in my life? Is it relevant in the real world? Is this going to help me build a stronger relationship with my kids or my husband? Is it going to help me free myself, liberate myself from the inside so I can feel true peace on the inside? Is it going to bring myself to feeling a lot more empowered and taking more responsibility and maturity and accountability for my life and, my creation? And so, what I've mentioned is that it's a process. It takes time, it takes years, it's a process. So don't think like, oh my God, I need to find the truth. And, don't think that when you get things wrong and you can get burned sometimes that it's, it means something negative about you or that you're not getting it. No, it's part of the process. The process is getting it wrong because, if you remember the instrument analogy with the guitar, you have to actually get it wrong sometimes. You can't find the middle path. You can't find that attunement to truth, which stand in the middle, without bending against both sides at times. And to be put it simply, you don't know what you don't know. So sometimes you can only know that this is not for you by actually trying it, if that makes sense. And so I'm not, I'm talking about information, but I'm also talking about trying things out in your life as well, with relationships or, speaking up, or I'm actually talking about very tangible things too. And why this is so important is because when we are out of alignment with truth, this is when we tend to have health problems. And, a very difficult and strong diagnosis, is when I truly believe is when we've really come so far out of alignment that this is almost like the last wake-up call to, take action in our life to actually realign with truth. And this is a very uncomfortable truth and topic to discuss, right? Because, I guess it doesn't make sense based on how we believed reality to be or how we believed life to be. But there are so many women who are so unwell because they are in relationship with toxic men. And I don't want to make it a gender thing, it goes both ways. But I'm just talking about this because in general, that's what I've, experienced and seen. Whenever you are surrounded by energy vampires, people who take, and you can refer back to the book that I mentioned before called Dodging Energy Vampires by Christine Northrup. She explains it very well. Or simply when you are in an incompatible relationship, because to be honest, like I've actually seen it happen where, It's not that the relationship is toxic, but at the end of the day, your body knows truth better than your brain does. I know it's a hard mindset to shift, but it's basically the truth. Your body knows the truth better than your brain does, because your brain can be programmed, your brain can be locked into so many different belief systems. So a belief system might be like, I made a vow for life. Meanwhile, your body is shutting down. Meanwhile, you have zero sexual desires for your partner. All these things always speak to you, except you don't want to face it, right? We don't want to face it. I'm also talking about myself. And that's what creates so much pain and suffering that's completely unnecessary. So understanding that the truth is always actually communicating to us in one way, shape, or form. And when we make this our North Star, when we make this our commitment, then we come to a place where we can't not see things anymore. Things become very clear. And then it's our job to face it and do what needs to be done. A lot of time it's actually letting go of people, so we can, rebalance and harmonize before we get a severe diagnosis that's telling us there's something wrong, you're not listening. Because the truth is, we actually should be living with so much life force energy. That's what I've realized on this path, is that as I progress on this path, as I make those tough decisions, refocus on me, realign, purify, refine, I'm getting more and more life force energy. And it's not just about letting go of people. Obviously, I'm using that as an example, but it's about all various decisions that we make about, the food that we ingest, what we decide to inject in our body without having the full information, so that it's actually an informed decision. All that stuff that we do. And the thing is that today, in this day and age, all the information is out there. We can no longer say that the information is not available. This is this age where all the information is there. All the information actually is free. It's all free on the internet. And as long as you have that commitment and as devotion, you will see magic unfold in a way that actually the right teacher, the right information, the right truth will come in your field. It will. Because what I've noticed is that, yes, there is a social media algorithm, absolutely, but there is a cosmic algorithm. I've seen it so many times that I get to another stage, another rung of the ladder, so to speak, and then all of a sudden the right teacher comes along. So we're not doing it on our own. We are guided through that, but I've said it before, our participation is required, which is actually being willing to face the truth and making truth the number one priority. This process of building discernment is very much a process actually that helps you to build that inner trust. Because as you go through this process, this is how you get to really know yourself. Because you are really facing yourself on an ongoing basis. Seeing yourself clearer and clearer, seeing people around you clearer and clearer, seeing the relational dynamics clearer and clearer, so that the actions that you need to take become clearer and clearer. This is very much actually how you get to build that inner trust muscle that can only be felt, that can only be experienced. It's an incredible feeling that you feel on the inside. And that trust is everything, because this is what gives you the fortitude to go out there and make those choices and let go of people and do the hard things and make the hard decisions. But it's a feeling that is so empowering. it gives you so much power to stand on your own, to fully occupy your body and fully take responsibility for your life. And this is a feeling I want everyone to experience, because it's a feeling I only started feeling in 2024, last year. It's an incredible feeling. And so that's what I mean. Like, it's a process. I've been on this journey for eight years. It's a journey. You're slowly building that muscle. There is a quote actually in the Bible that says, "The truth shall set you free." And it's from John 8:32. And there is another quote from Aristotle that says, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." And it just expresses exactly what I've been expressing and what I've lived in my own journey. Is that when you truly see things as they are, whether it's yourself, how you relate to others and all of that, right? Or others, or the world, when you truly get to see reality exactly as it is, it's freedom. It hurts like hell, I'm not gonna lie. The actual process for me of removing the rose-colored glasses, of having to do all that stuff, has hurt a lot. But it actually frees you, and this is the way, the only way that we come to wholeness is to remove all the lies that we tell ourselves, right? All those roadblocks that are in our field, so we can come to true coherence and harmony and peace on the inside. And I have another channel that's all about parenting, and I've mentioned before that on that channel a lot that I'm not a fan of the gentle parenting trend, which I would actually more refer to as perfectionism parenting trend, of pushing parents more and more into relying on scripts and all of that. It's because it's not genuine, it's not authentic, it's not truth. Your children want truth. They want you, like, because the thing is, children actually are very attuned. They haven't numbed as much as adults have, so they can tell when the words that you use and what you're actually feeling on the inside is not matching, when there's a dissonance, a disconnect. So should we make progress towards actually feeling better and feeling more at peace and more joy? Absolutely. But that process doesn't come from suppressing and pretending and forcing ourselves to be in high vibration. It's an organic unfoldment. It's a process that takes time. There's no shortcut to that. So that's all I have to say today. Again, making truth with a capital T your North Star, in my opinion, in my experience and observing others, is basically what ensures that you are successful on this path, that you don't stay looping or trapped too long in one spot. We all have blind spots, of course. That's why it's a process and it's an unfoldment. But as long as you keep wanting, like as long as your intention is so strong and your commitment to truth is at a devotional level, you can't go wrong, in my opinion. And whenever you are confused, you can ask your soul for guidance. I've asked many times, show me the truth. I'm not getting it. Show me the truth. And be ready when it comes, because very often it's not what we actually want to see. And we have to be able to face it and stay with it. Stay with it. Stay with the truth. It's the path to our liberation. It's the only way. So I hope this is helpful, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.